poaching, theft, animal cruelty, and possibly murder. We're going to talk about one of the biggest scams you might have never heard about in the fishing industry. We're going to talk about it right now. This is one of the biggest fishing scandals and scams in the history of bass fishing that you might not have ever heard of. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. If you're new to the channel, my name is Steve Chapman. I've been doing Get Your Fish On for several years. Before this, I was doing fishing. I was doing a radio show. Now I'm doing YouTube. So hopefully you'll enjoy this content and click that subscribe button. Now this is one of the biggest fishing scandals and scams that I have ever heard of in the industry. It happened back in the 1980s when an infamous bass fishing ring was busted. Elroy McNeil was set out to rig a 1983 bass fishing tournament in Texas. And he purchased a largemouth bass that he purchased here in Florida. He had to stop off back at his house in Louisiana to thaw the bass before it was brought to the fishing tournament. And he met up with his co-conspirator, whose name is Terry Issa. These guys were competing in the Roadrunner Bass Tournament in Tyler, Texas. Over the next year, McNeil would upgrade the con by outfitting his truck with an aerator, haul live fish, and recruiting half a dozen anglers to scam $350,000 from the Texas Bass Tournament circuit. Now, McNeil would travel to St. Cloud, Florida to purchase a bass, and he'd hold the fish in the back of his truck and then deliver them to anglers who were in the tournaments. Now, in 1983, Mr. Patterson, who was part of this ring of anglers, admitted to using a supplied fish from McNeil and won $105,000. Mr. Puckett, Mr. Harmon, and Mr. Davis were three other anglers that all admitted to getting fish from McNeil. They won $50,000 for first place, $15,000 for second place, and third place were $7,000 or $8,000. Now, the deal that they had was the anglers would all put their money together and pool it and then split it out. When you win first, second, and third, there's a good portion of money that's coming back to them. Now, these guys all pled guilty, and they all passed their polygraphs administered by the tournament organizations. They admitted to taking Valium and Quaaludes that would ease their bodies. And things were going okay until an angler was found dead. And at first they thought it was homicide, but then they realized it was suicide. And this was Mr. Davis. Now, Mr. Davis was very lucky on the water, unlucky off the water. He had been divorced 4 times at the age of 33. He was also badly burned in an explosion while at his job as an electrician. This caused him extensive nerve damage and scarring. In 1984, Mr. Davis supposedly caught an 8.7 pound bass in the KYKX Big Bass Classic, which made him win $105,000. He actually had 2 wins during that time. But the judges and tournament organizations questioned the 8-pound bass. And they also questioned 6 other fish belonging to those other anglers. And all those fish, including Mr. Davis's, were disqualified. Now, Mr. Davis routinely failed polygraphs, and he blamed his nerves and the accident that happened as why he failed those tests. But the year before, Mr. Parkinson admitted that he had cheated. He had actually received his fish from Mr. McNeil, and during that tournament that he won, he never actually put a hook in the water. He also said, "I don't even know how to fish." And these suspicions made investigators investigate this group. Now, Mr. Davis was found dead near his home at a local pond. Now, Mr. Davis was scheduled to testify Wednesday, August 29th, 1984. On Tuesday, a neighbor found him on the banks of a gravel pit near his home, dead. He was found dead of a shotgun shooting. At first, they thought it was homicide. They then categorized it to suicide. Now, during this investigation, state police officers said some of the individuals involved could try to retaliate against witnesses. And Mr. Davis might have been worried about that. He was scared for his life. He was also scared that he would probably have to go to jail because 5 of them end up pleading guilty. 1 of them helped prosecution and got a lesser sentence, where the other 4 faced 5 years in prison and $10,000 in fines. Now, this is one of those stories that was interesting for me to look up and figure out and find out and read the stories. At the same time, I can only imagine how big this would have been if this happened in today's social media crazy phase that we are in. And I don't know, did you know about this? What do you think? Is this as bad as the guys stuffing weights down fish? Because they did a lot of damage to the industry, to everything in the fishing world, and they got off with literally nothing. Their sentences weren't half as bad as this. And in this day and age, with social media and everything, that walleye cheating scandal was one of the biggest things to ever happen in the industry. But did you know about this one? And is it worse than the walleye cheaters? That's what I want to know. So comment below and tell me what you think. Thanks for hitting that like and the subscribe button. Thank you to all the new members, all the new subscribers, all the people who are interactive on this channel. This community is the best, without question. Hands down and period. So thank you for being part of the team. But if you're not a subscriber, you should be. Click that button, become part of the team and family, and thank you. Remember, take your kid fishing, tight lines, cheers, and get your fish on.